Hi there, my name is Kenny Stahl, and this video is going to be about giving advice. I'm going to do my best to give advice to you about how to give advice to somebody else and how to receive advice as well. But I have to let you know right off the bat that I don't really know what I'm talking about. I'm not for sure. I'm not going to tell you that you should do things a certain way. I'm not going to tell you that certain things are wrong. Okay, but I do believe that there are certain angles that you can come at giving advice that will be the most effective and not lead anybody down the wrong path, which I think is very, very important. The first thing to recognize is that people are not the same. There are millions of people out there with all unique problems, and to think that maybe one general statement is going to cover everybody and it's just going to make all their problems go away is wishful thinking. So I think it's important to establish yourself when you're giving advice to understand your audience or understand the person that you're giving advice to. If it's just one-on-one with an individual, know that person, know what their circumstances are. If it's a broader range of people, like if you're making a video like this, understand the demographic. Are you talking to teenagers? Are you talking to adults, people in college? Are you talking to males, females, people of a certain community? What is it? And then once you understand your audience, the next step is to set a clear goal of what the person is going to take away from the video. When it comes to giving advice, you really, really never know if the words coming out of somebody's mouth are things that they actually apply to their own life or if they're just things that they're making up. Because sometimes we just have these phrases that are well known that you don't really have any evidence, any sort of proof that that kind of thing works. So that's why, in reality, the best way to learn, the best way to know how to do something, to make something happen in your own life, to figure out your own problems, is to follow somebody else's actions rather than their words. Because we see it a lot of people giving advice and not following their own advice, which is why I have a problem doing what I'm doing, because I love to make YouTube videos, I love to give advice, I love to make people feel better, and I love making people feel better, but when it comes to actually digging down deep into what the issue is that you're having in your own life, what your problem is, and you're looking for an answer, I don't really give answers. I give hope, I give inspiration, I make you feel better. And that's one of the things that I'm careful of, because I do not want to lead somebody in the direction of not believing in me anymore and of essentially turning out to be worthless. Okay, so if you're the kind of person who loves to give advice, then there are two words that you should probably eliminate from your vocabulary most of the time when you're giving advice to people. And those two words are the word should and the word will. And the word will is simply in the context that you're trying to guarantee that the advice that you give will work. You say, if you listen to this advice, you will have some sort of payoff in the end. When really, because there are so many different people, this goes back to the idea that people have different circumstances. What works for you might not work for somebody else. People are just different. Be very careful when you're giving advice to two people at the same time with the same problem, because the causes of those problems might be different. So what works for this person won't work for that person. I am starting to get in the habit of whenever I do give advice or try to project my beliefs onto somebody else, my opinions about what is best, I always say right off the hand, listen, I don't know if what I am saying really works. I don't really know that this is good advice, okay, but I'm going to tell it to you anyway. I kind of give that disclaimer, which is always a good thing for you to do when you start off giving advice to somebody for the first time. Okay, so now let's talk about that word should, because should is a dangerous word to use for a lot of reasons. The first reason is that when you say that, hey, you should do this, you should do that, you should be a certain way, you should think a certain way, you should act a certain way, dress a certain way, whatever it is, you are eliminating any possibility that something else might work too. And this goes back to the idea that, really you don't know. But I think that the problem that a lot of people have and that the world has in general is that people like to pretend that they know what's best. Who knows, maybe somebody who says that you should do something a certain way, maybe they are right. Maybe it would be best to follow that advice. But by setting a standard in someone else's life and telling somebody else that they should be a certain way, even if the intentions were good, what if they don't meet that standard? What if they they understand the advice, they take it in, they fully believe in doing things a certain way, the way that you advise them to do, but they just fall short, they fail, they don't do it. Their self-esteem is going to plummet. They might get depressed, they might have issues. I mean, I think it's very well known in the motivation industry, in the self-help industry, that should is not a good word to tell yourself. A lot of times people give advice to themselves where, again, you just don't meet that standard that you set, and your self-esteem just goes down. So it's very dangerous to use that word when giving advice. And not to mention, if you're wrong, if you're just way off target, you're going to look like an idiot. People aren't going to follow you. People aren't going to listen to your advice anymore. So just kind of give people the awareness that, there might be other opportunities out there, other possibilities for what could work, and that you don't have all the answers. And that the person who you're giving advice to might find something better. Give them hope. Make them feel good. Giving advice is a very dangerous thing to do, especially if you're using that word should. Because sometimes these basic general life advice things contradict themselves. One thing that you might say to somebody in a certain situation could be the exact opposite of what you tell them in another situation. For example, you might tell somebody to live in the moment and, just be free from all your worries about the future and the past, but then you'll turn around and tell somebody else to hold on to their dear memories and to plan ahead and look to the future, which totally contradict each other. What are some other things? Value intelligence, but don't think too much. Play it safe, but take risks. Or you want to make a good impression, so dress nicely, but appearances don't really matter. You should listen to your parents, but you should also figure it out for yourself. Don't quit, but know when to walk away. You should care about yourself, you should be concerned for your safety, but you should also not worry. Whoa. If anything provokes anxiety more than anything, it's telling somebody to not worry. There's one thing that I'm sure of, and that is that probably every piece of advice works in a certain situation. But that's why it's so important to make it clear when you give advice who you're talking to and what sort of goal or outcome you're trying to meet. The thing that I find the most effective, or at least the easiest for me, is I try not to necessarily give advice. I don't tell people that they should do things a certain way. I just simply tell people what I've experienced in my life. And here's the thing, if people can relate to your experience, if they can relate to your circumstance, then those are the people that will stick around and listen to you. Those are the people that are going to stay because they know that your circumstances match theirs. That's as easy as saying, listen, I don't know what'll work for you, but this is what works for me. And that, I think, is where you should always start whenever you give advice. Okay, that wraps it up for this video. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Kenneth Stahl, by the way. And I'd like to give advice, but sometimes I just like to share what I've gone through and what I think can help other people. So check out some of my other videos. I hope that you like them. And I hope that you share this video and comment on it and like it as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you like me, please click that subscribe button. That always helps me out. Thank you so much. I'll see you in my next video.